I joined the Butthole Surfers when I was 17, turning 18. So to me, I don't really have and I worked jobs. I left home at 15, so I was office manager at Budget Carpet Cleaners. I worked at Quick Flat Construction. Man, I can make stairs for you during the COVID time, and nobody was hiring anybody. I'll tell you what I can do for you too. I can smash your bathtub and carry it out of your house and take all that shit to the dump, because that's what I'm qualified for. No one's going to hire me for anything else.
Welcome to The Creative Asylum, a weekly podcast that digs deep into the minds of visionary creators of all stripes. Musicians, actors, filmmakers, writers, artists, cartoonists, and cultural disruptors. Here, we'll discuss perspectives of living life on your own terms. Life lessons that keep us grounded and sane, and sometimes pull us back from the edge. So, take a deep breath, loosen your grip on the bland and the boring. This is your weekly prescription for authentic living, creative clarity, and hopefully, a little bit of cultural rebellion.
Side effects may include spontaneous joy, existential epiphanies, and an uncontrollable urge to do weird and beautiful things.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Creative Asylum. I can't believe we're already in the second season, but here we are. I'm your host, Daniel House, and today's conversation is the second in a series of episodes with legendary post-punk bass players. Today's guest is an old friend, Jeff Pinkus. You might know him alternately as J.D. Pinkus. He's probably best known as the bass player for the band the Butthole Surfers. Between the years of 1985 and 1994, he was on both Locust Abortion Technician and Hairway to Steven, but he's been in a bunch of other bands as well, including Daddy Longhead with the drummer Ray Washam. He was in a band called Honky for a number of years, and he was a member of the Melvins, appearing on a number of Melvins records between the years of 2014 and 2021. More recently, he's been doing solo stuff, which is kind of hard to describe. You have to experience it in person. It's basically treated banjo with a lot of electronic pedals and effects. He does a lot of stuff with banjo loops. It's very trippy. It's also very cool. Certainly not mainstream, but I think it's great. Anyway, this conversation with Jeff Pinkus was recorded remotely with Jeff on his deck outside his home in Asheville, North Carolina. So let's have at it. My conversation with Mr. Jeff Pinkus. All right, Mr. Pinkus, how are you?
I'm good, Brother Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay.
Keeping in focus, I see.
We're going to try. We're going to do our damnedest. How's Asheville, North Carolina treating you?
Oh, I love it out here so much, man. We got pounded with Helene last year, and it made things pretty tough, but everything's good out here. We're all getting by.
That's good. Did you get hit by the floods or not really?
Not by floods. We had 56 days without water, and except for I bought a bunch of hoses to get water from a neighbor's place up the hill that had a well, and you weren't really supposed to do that because they say wells need to be tested and all that.
Right.
But we're up on a hill in West Asheville, and so we were actually able to give away some showers to some people. I had a guy come that was a volunteer fire department guy that came all the way and gave me a bunch of apples from his place, and said he hadn't had a hot shower in a long time. But we didn't have power for a while. But the thing is that when we moved into this place, we didn't have an address, and
Oh, really?
bought an old church, so we couldn't get power or water, and it was wintertime. So to us, we had already been in extreme training for the situation we were going to be in. So having it happen in September, end of September, that was a breeze compared to doing this in February with no power and no water.
I bet.
But we had lots of trees down all along the roads here, and so all of us and volunteer people, we had to clear the streets because you couldn't get through anywhere. We had trees blow up from that direction down the hill behind me all the way up here onto our property.
That's crazy.
And luckily, we didn't get the ones that were dead that we've removed now. Didn't fall on us, but yeah. And all in all, the city's trying to come back. We didn't get much help from the government, like they talked a good game, but if you look at the numbers, you'll see we're at the bottom of the list of anybody that got any help. It's all been community out here, and we've all been doing the best we can.
sometimes you need some kind of crisis to actually pull community together, you know?
Yeah, everybody was together, and it was a beautiful thing. It tears me up to think about everybody that chipped in and did what they could, and all the venues that had space. And I mean, we did the best we could with our old church here. We had a parking lot, so people would come into town not knowing where to drop stuff off, and
Right,
someone would
right.
get a wind of it, and they'd come and drop it off over here, and we'd try and tell people what we had. You know, lots of medicinal stuff and kids' clothing and toys and a lot of things, you know.
Has that been a year or has that been 2 years?
It's been 1 year.
1 year, that's what I thought,
Yeah, it was,
yeah.
September 28th. I was on my last show with my tour with Buzz and Trevor Dunn. I did a 9-week tour with them, and then I also did something with the Butthole Surfers right before that. So I was gone for like 10 weeks,
Okay.
and it hit the night of my last show, and so I raced home quick as I could get. So it was, I was the only one on the hill with a generator. So folks would come down here and charge stuff up. And my wife, Camille, she's a great cook. So she was doing the best she could with what we had and trying to feed some people. It was pretty odd, man. You just didn't really see it getting better at any time. Like there was
Yeah.
really and the water that came through looked like, like whether they joke about chocolate rivers all over third world countries. So that was what was coming through our city water that we had just gotten because they kept putting the pipes back together, flush them, put them back together, flush them. Don't let your kids in the water. Don't get it in your eyes. Don't get it in your face. Wash your dishes off if you got to with it, and then clean it with bleach. Not knowing when that was going to end was pretty tough. But I'll tell you what, these all the folks that came and volunteered from out of town, folks all the way from Canada coming in and doing the power and doing the water. They really knocked it out the park as far as that goes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how long had you been living in Asheville at that point? I mean, touring
5
aside.
years.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you've been there for a while.
Yeah, I left Austin during COVID, right when COVID started. We were planning on leaving anyways, and because we had a deal set up with one of our neighbors up the hill, and he needed someone to watch his house, so we were planning on that. Then COVID hit, and could not picture a more beautiful place to be stuck in
Yeah.
than one of these hills in West Asheville with with a beautiful deck that was just installed and overlooking a beautiful Mount Pisgah and beautiful setting every night. And
My wife and I were there in 2021 and as a possible place where we might move to.
oh, right on. I remember when you were thinking where to move to. Yeah,
Had she been on board, I would have gone. But she wanted to stay on the West Coast and I was just ready to I don't know. I was completely enamored by the whole community. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in the United States,
yeah,
and it's just the art community and the music community, and it
yeah.
just seemed like such an incredibly creatively vibrant place.
It is, and for what I was doing, doing weird, crazy music with my banjo. Like for one, people actually like banjo here. It's not like the rest of the
Yeah.
world. So to come out here, and there's enough people doing bluegrass, so people embraced me and say my buddy Mike from Tall Tall Trees doing our weird banjo stuff because there's a lot of folks that play other people's styles, but the instrument's so cool and it's been around for so long
Hmm.
that there's way more than just bluegrass that you can throw down with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, last time I saw you face to face was in Joshua Tree when you were doing that banjo stuff,
Oh,
and
you were out there at Bobby First Place?
yeah, we talked. We
I can't
talked.
remember, man. I took mushrooms that night.
Oh.
That was such a cool show, man. I mean, like, that venue was
It
so
sounded like you were on mushrooms, or maybe it
yeah,
sounded like I was on mushrooms. Um, yeah, I don't know if you know that Bobby First, he passed
I know, RIP
recently.
Bobby. He was such a sweet guy. I was
Yeah,
gonna mention that, that happened just recently.
yeah, it
Uh,
did. Gotta say, I've never seen anybody do anything with a banjo like the stuff you're doing, and I think it's amazing. I think it's really incredible, and I'm really curious. Like, how did you start exploring with doing affected banjo and loops and all of that? Because it's a trip.
a big influence on me was Mr. Danny Barnes, who Bad Livers and Butthole Surfers used to tour together,
Yep.
And I always messed around with the banjo, and I fudged around with some bluegrass stuff, but I like writing my own weird songs, and he
Uh-huh.
liked my weird songs, and he asked me about doing it. He got $50,000 from Steve Martin for Banjo Excellence out of the blue, and so he wanted to give back, and so he started an all cassette label called Minner, not Minnow, but Minner Bucket. I think he called it records, but it was tapes. Minner Bucket was the name of it, and he wanted to get people that played banjo and did their own style and do a series of cassette tapes where he did the artwork. He came in and I recorded all my first album live, and then he took it home and mixed it. And he did amazing. Every time he did one mix a day, and he'd send it to me. I said, perfect, perfect, perfect. I never sent one back and asked him to redo it because he would just spend one day, he'd go in there and work on it and do his thing. He's a genius. But he doesn't think he has his own style. He's like, I know everyone else's styles. I don't have my own style, which is wrong. He's got his own style big time.
Yeah.
But his album Barnyard Electronica was a big influence on me, what he was doing, even though I can't do what he was doing. He would hold a metronome to his ear, and then
Mhm.
he'd lay down a loop with banjo an octave down for a bass line, and then he'd pick up the metronome again, make sure it was good, put on another one, and we'd watch them develop these songs live, and it was beautiful. I don't torture people like that because they wouldn't want to see me do that. So a lot of the things I do, I plan ahead for, and all done with my organic stuff. Some stuff I loop on the spot. Some stuff I play to a loop. There's one song I did where which is a Melvins cover, a song I wrote. I always say it's a cover of a song I wrote, but I played it with the Melvins, and the loop is just me doing this one riff, and then I play the whole song to it. But most of the stuff is a little bit more abstract when I use some of those effects.
Yeah. So had Danny not had that one record, you may have gone in a different direction
No,
entirely.
I think if Danny wouldn't have asked me to actually record, I don't know. And this is, mind you, this is right after I got back from Peru,
Uh-huh.
and I'd been talking about with my buddy who I went there with about doing solo stuff and doing banjo stuff. And then I get back, and lo and behold, Danny's actually asking me to do this stuff, and everything that happened down in Peru and all the things that I thought about, and it did seem to come to fruition, which was really bizarre. My buddy Harley out in Arizona, we went down there together, and we had to talk about. They asked us to talk to each other, pick someone and talk about what you got going for your next 5 years. And I remember saying I wanted to bring some of the Icaros from Peru and play them some of these melodies that I'm getting hip to, and different way of thinking about music to a different group of people. And I ended up doing this song called "Don't Forget to Breathe," which I've done a banjo version of. It's on my Fungus Shui Trinity on my solo album Fungus Shui. But before that, I played it I wrote it on the banjo, wrote it again on bass, and played it with the Melvins, and it was an 8-minute long song with this melody that was a combination of a lot of the melodies I heard when I was down there doing the ayahuasca with the Shipibo folks. They don't let you record their songs because people steal songs so they can
Right.
get jobs and pretend like that they're maestros and maestros. So they guard their songs. Nowadays it's easier, but back then it was pretty hard to find anything, and they don't want you to record it. Each song is for you, and they feel where you're at, and they sing the song that they think will help you heal in the best way. So that's kind of where a lot of that era came from of me, and I kind of getting over playing with people because people let you down a lot of the times. They say they want to do stuff, and I know from having a label, it's hard to work with people that tell you one thing and they're all gung ho about another thing, but they fail to tell you that they're never going to leave the job for doing it or like you can work as hard as you want on something, but when you have to rely on somebody else to make that dream come true, you're really putting a lot on the line. And
Yeah.
so to me, being solo was such a freeing thing. I knew what condition my relationships were in. I knew what side jobs I had. I knew whatever, anything that I had to do to get by was, and it was easy for me to make business decision plans being a solo player.
Right. That makes sense. But I mean, sometimes I think people they don't mean to let you down. Like I think a lot of
Oh
people
no, of
have,
course not.
like it's there's the difference between intention versus reality. Like I very much want to do this thing, but I'm not quite willing to, I mean, you're one of these people that is willing to say, my creative thing comes first, foremost, ahead of everything else. And I think for a lot of us, probably myself included, I'm only willing to make so many compromises where, I've made choices to go the professional route as opposed to the creative route for the sake of security, whatever.
I joined the Butthole Surfers when I was 17, turning 18. So to me, I don't really have and I worked jobs. I left home at 15. So I was, office manager at Budget Carpet Cleaners. I worked at Quick Flat Construction. Man, I can make stairs for you during the COVID time and nobody was hiring anybody. I'll tell you what I can do for you too. I can smash your bathtub and carry it out of your house and take all that shit to the dump because that's what I'm qualified for. No one's going to hire me for anything else. So I'm kind of stuck in this thing,
You're kind of qualified to play weird rock.
Yeah, yeah, and I've recorded people. I went to school for recording, but after my first marriage with my wonderful first wife, Hannah, we split up and I went to Arizona, went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Science because for one, I just wanted to get away. I sold the house, wanted to get away. I ended up skydiving and being out there and I've been recording for years, but I
Yeah.
didn't know the science of it. The science of it was what I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how you get phase off of one mic. How does
Yeah.
that happen? Which it does. But I recorded bands, I did live sound, but killing your ears for live sound on music that you don't really care about is really tough to swallow. And then dealing with other people's creative stuff is tough to swallow sometimes because like recording a band is my favorite. But when it comes to
Uh-huh.
mixing a band, and you got all those ears in there and all they're listening to them themselves and they don't want to tell somebody turn the bass up. They'll go, can you put more low end in the bass? I'm like, no, but I can turn your bass up if that's what you're asking.
Uh-huh.
You got
Uh-huh.
to decipher people's what they're trying to do. It's like they don't hear themselves enough, so they don't want to say turn me up. So they'll say something like that's going to ruin the mix, like add more low end to it. It's like that's not what it needs. You just want to hear it
Right.
more. It's difficult. It's a lot easier when you're doing your own stuff, especially if you haven't done pre-production.
So let me ask you. I'd never thought about how young you were when you joined the Butthole Surfers. Were you playing already in other bands? I mean, that's the first band you ever recorded with, right?
No, no,
No?
I recorded with a band called the Proles. We were the band called the Proles in Atlanta, and we went up to Athens and recorded at this guy I can't remember his name, but it was somewhere that Warren Zevon had recorded at. We did our recordings back then. Nothing ever happened.
Okay.
Yeah, back then things were different because drinking age was 18.
Uh-huh.
And when I was 17, the drinking age was 18. So bars didn't really care. Like I'd go play Margaritaville in Atlanta,
Right.
and people didn't really care how old you were. And if you didn't drink, there was other stuff to do, like this band, the NyQuil Prophets. They would all get on stage and drink a family size of NyQuil by themselves, and then see how long they could play for.
Oh my
So
God.
I mean, it was a different scene out there.
That's high concept art.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I would have never thought of it. That's why it sticks with me.
It's a great name. I love the name. So
Yeah.
so how did you hook up with Paul and Gibby and all those guys?
Well, it was actually at that time, Teresa, this isn't in the movie, but Teresa, the movie that just,
I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm dying to see it.
no one's really seen it, but as Gibby says, entertaining, but not necessarily factual. But there's a
Okay.
lot of things skipped in it and people missed in it.
Sure.
Like we had a second female drummer. She's not in there because things got weird when they tried to talk to her about doing it.
Uh,
And there's a couple extra people that played with the band that aren't in it. Teresa quit the band for a while. That was right when I joined. She was out of the band.
how did you meet them? If you were in Atlanta and they're in Austin.
No, they moved to Athens, Georgia. They had a guy named Trevor from Canada that
Yep.
Touch and Go hooked him up with. That never met them before. They'd never met him. He came down. He lasted for I think 6 months. He did make the movie.
He was on a couple of songs on Locust Abortion Technician.
Yeah, he was the sousaphone tuba player.
Okay.
Yeah, and then right after he left the band, they had to go to Europe.
Uh-huh.
And Kramer, who lives here now, Shimmy Disc. He was in a band called with oh man, Birdcage on his head and played the electric rake, Jad Fair and God, I'll think of the name. But anyways, they got billed as his new band when they went over there, and he was just on there to do like that one little tour and stuff. And so, but they got billed as his new band. I want to say Shockabilly.
Oh, that's it. I think
That
that's
is it,
correct. Yep.
Shockabilly.
Mhm.
Okay, so it was like Kramer from Shockabilly's new band, the Butthole Surfers, and he was just like, he was just on that one tour. And so when they got off of that tour and things didn't work out, there's lots of different stories and versions on why they were stuck in Georgia and they came to Atlanta. And so that's when they were talking to people about a bass player. And my name came up from a friend of mine, a guy that I played in the band with, Jimbo from Daddy Longhead. I went out there, I had some folks bring me downtown, and I went to Five Points, not Little Five Points, where Underground Atlanta is. And they were set up at this place, this band, the Eastern Stars. And that's where the other girl drummer came from. But they picked the wrong girl. They thought that the girl that would play drums was the girl that played bass. And
Oh,
it was her warehouse.
okay.
So they couldn't tell her that she couldn't play drums anymore, and she was jealous that I was playing bass. And they actually wanted the other girl that played drums to be the second drummer. So, anyways, we ended up with this other girl, Cabbage, which was her stage name, and so we took her out on the road. And when I joined, and so we had a female drummer that was not Teresa King, and then Gibby and Paul and me. Then she had issues with laundry. She thought maybe she wouldn't have clean clothes, so she never changed her clothes. She always liked the security of clean clothes. Then she got her drumming got a little bad. Like her chops went downhill a little bit. And then she got,
Supposed to go the other way. Supposed to get
yeah,
better
and
as you
she got,
play.
I guess the way we called it was stinky and lumpy. She wasn't showering, she wasn't doing her laundry. So we were going to drop her back off in Atlanta. And I think we made it all the way to somewhere in Alabama and put her on a bus. And so then we were a four-piece. And then we traveled around and got back. And then Teresa rejoined the band afterwards. And then she quit again.
I always loved the Butthole Surfers with King and Teresa both playing drums. I just thought it was the
She
coolest.
is such a phenomenal drummer. She was such a phenomenal drummer.
I was really sad to hear that she died.
She actually was more schooled of a drummer than King. King never had lessons. He was a primitive drummer. When you listen to him talk about it, I mean, he played on the phone books and did that stuff and finally got drums and, tuning. Nobody taught him how to tune or any of that. And he liked standing up instead of sitting down. But Teresa, she was actually like, she could rock a trap kit by herself really well. A steady tempo, tuned her drums great, hit them right where they needed to be. And so together they were a powerhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course everyone thought they were brother and sister, so that added something a little bit, more special to it.
Where did that come from? I mean, did the band manufacture that urban legend of them being brother and sister, or did somebody just say it and the
I
band?
can't really remember. It was always in the reviews and always in everything. I think that was started by the band as a joke a long time ago. And then it must have told a reporter and then
It
somebody
just
read
stuck.
that. Yeah, yeah. And then because there were people that were really upset when they found out they weren't really brother and sister. The people that knew them, because they're like, why would they lie to me about that? But they didn't lie. They didn't say no.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
You said it, and they just kind of said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were what, 1985 to like 1994, almost a
Yeah,
decade
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then I joined them back up again.
when they did like a reunion thing.
Yeah, yeah, 2000. No, I think it started with the School of Rock thing, 2008
Okay,
or something like that. And then we ditched the kids and actually played a few shows.
right.
And then some things went a little sour. And I won't go into details, but then we ended up not doing shows. So we just did that one for the first time, and I guess someone said 8 years in LA. And we played 2.5 songs, but so it wasn't really like
Wasn't a full blown set.
no, Bob, no, no. Paul only wanted to do 2 songs, and we let him pick which ones they were, and then we snuck in a kinda half of another song, I
So
guess.
are you in touch with those guys these
Oh,
days or
yeah.
not? Yeah. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing great, man.
That's good.
Paul has had some health issues.
Yeah.
He had bad luck with a hip surgery. He had bad luck with an eye surgery.
Damn.
He's not hurting for dough. You know, I mean, nobody's ever going to see the Butthole Surfers the way that we were back in the 80s.
Sure.
No, that's not going to happen. They'll hear the songs maybe, but nobody's going to see fire symbols and Tada the shit lady and you know, all the stuff that we had going, fire symbols and you know all that shit. They're not. It's just not going to happen.
I got to see the band in that version about 8 times, so
Oh, right
I've
on. So you know, and there weren't cell phones, so people couldn't tell their friends. They'd go call up and go, okay, there's this
Yeah.
band, and they're coming to your town. You got to check. They got this chick that she puts aluminum foil on her teeth, and she gets upside down on the steps, and then they got this fire. I can't, you know, you can't really explain it.
First time I saw the band was actually before you were even in the band.
Oh yeah.
I think I saw when they came to Seattle on the Psychic Powerless and Other Man Sack
Oh, that was
tour.
very early. That was a very early scene.
That record changed my life, and then Locust Abortion Technician changed my life, and you know, I mean, that first chunk of records before you and then with you is just like completely life changing.
They were all different too, which I liked about it. Because when
Yeah.
I joined, we were on the road all the time, and so we would write songs while we were on the road. Which usually all the songs were just written in the studio. They weren't completely formed songs. They weren't like, you know, it was just kind of a couple of parts and some crazy shit on top of it. And then, which we did a couple of times when I was in the band, but most of the stuff when I was in the band, we did a practice room on the road when we had a couple of days off, and we'd start working on shit. That's why we did this thing called the double live bootleg, because everyone was bootlegging our shit. So we just made our own bootleg, and probably one of the best cash cows we ever did.
Really?
Because Corey at Touch and Go was only fifth of it. And so the rest of us, you know, split the dough evenly,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, so we ended up writing more stuff anyways on the road, and some of the songs became more songy. You know, there were less noise stuff.
What was it like your personal experience being on Touch and Go, you know, a very deeply respected independent label, and then going into the major label world? Was that good? Was it bad? Was it all of the above?
You will not see Corey Rusk in the Butthole Surfers movie.
Really?
He can't stand us. Steve Albini calls us assholes.
For jumping ship and going, I mean, everybody did it. Most people did it.
The thing was that we had a good deal, and then
Yeah.
there was a band that had a better deal, and then the band inquired about having that same better deal. That was a no-go. Then we got other offers that couldn't be matched, and that started with Rough Trade first. We were with Rough Trade, and then we went to Capitol. We didn't go straight from Touch and Go to Capitol. So there was a little Rough Trade era. That album PO'd, or is what people like to call it.
Yeah.
And so, we didn't have a good time with them. But Touch and Go, I was there when we went and talked to Jello Biafra after, you know, when that split was happening, when we were going to Touch and Go. And so, and I was just, like I said, 18 years old. I'm staying out of the business, man. I'm
Sure.
along for the ride, man. I'm just this kid from Georgia that's you know, along for the ride. When that stuff happened with Touch and Go, by the time that lawsuit actually came to fruition, it was after the Capitol record I was on, which was Independent Worm Saloon. That was my last record with them.
Okay.
And so we did that one. And then at that time, the lawsuit stuff was coming to a head. Corey had already burned all our CDs and vinyl and all that, made a public thing about it, and you know, and all that shit. And I didn't even do a deposition because I wasn't part of the band. They were like, oh, "Don't worry about it. We got this. We'll take care of it." And so I would just deal with however it turned out. And since those were the business guys, you know, Paul and Gibby both were business students. Paul's dad
Right.
was the dean of business at Trinity University, and Gibby was the accountant student of the year for his year there. So, you know, those guys were much better at business than, say, someone like me that was office manager at Budget Carpet Cleaners. And
You'd never think a band like the Butthole Surfers would be business savvy somehow.
exactly,
You know, right?
yeah, I know. And I think that's one of the things I loved about Paul was let everybody think we're stupid fucking hicks. Let's see what they fucking what they come up with because they think we talk funny or whatever. And I learned a lot in my days with them, and still do to this day. I look
Hmm.
up to those guys. They're 10 years older than me. I joined. I'm 17. They're 27. I mean, right now I look at 27 as a little kid, but back then when I was 17, 18, but 27, 28 was pretty old to me. I was
Sure.
like, okay, these guys know what's up. They went to college.
If you're enjoying this conversation, please make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It's the quickest way to grow our channel, and it's absolutely free. You can also subscribe to our other channels on social media. Check out our Instagram at Creative Asylum CA, that's the letter CA, or on TikTok at The Creative Asylum, that's all one word. Our website is thecapod.com, and our Facebook profile is the same, facebook.com/thecapod. All right, back to the episode. Let's talk about some of your post Butthole Surfers experience. You had Daddy
Yeah.
Longhead, you had Honky, you're in the Melvins for what, 6, 7 years, something like that?
Yeah. I'm on and off in the. I'm in the stable with them. There's actually
Okay.
something coming up that I get to do with part of the stable of the Melvins. Coming up, I'm going to be in LA, and I'm going to actually do a little bit of recording with some of the people involved. I don't know if it's going to be a Melvins thing or not, but
Okay.
if they're going to call it Melvins, but
Right.
I'll definitely be playing with some of the Melvins to do this. But it's more one of the side project things. But with Daddy Longhead, that was what I was playing at the end when Gibby was all spun out,
Uh-huh.
and those guys didn't want to practice, and we couldn't really get anything done. And I'm playing with Ray Washam and the guy Jimbo.
One of the great drummers of our time.
Oh my God, yeah, I love Ray is so awesome. He said I hear 8 drum beats in my head. I was like, well, I like the first one you came up with. I thought that one was a little bit better
Uh-huh.
because I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I'm switching the 1 and the 3 to the 2 and the 4, and I'm like, well, can you do it when I'm not singing? Because Ray knew how to play. I didn't. I'd
Yeah.
write something. He goes, that's in 7/8. And I was like, wow, cool. I
Right.
had no idea, man.
Sure.
Ray's he woodshedded that shit down. Anyway, so I'm playing with those guys when nothing's going on with Butthole Surfers, and I'm playing with these amazing musicians. I started drifting away a little bit because just nothing was getting done, and I really like playing with people. When we're playing, I like to play, and instead of like someone write a song at home and send it to you on a floppy disk or something like that, I'd rather us all sit in a room and come up with some stuff.
I agree.
Uh,
Absolutely.
but
100%.
but yeah, the things changed with Butthole Surfers to where when we tried to do stuff, people were passing floppy disk. This back with floppy disk, around.
Are you in touch with Washam these days?
We chat every once in a while. He kind of went off on his own. Now he's kind of getting back into music.
Oh yeah.
So,
Is he in Texas or where's he at?
yeah, he's in Texas. He's actually getting a band together. I saw him and Gary Chester from Ed Hall. We Are the Asteroid, Gary. And they were looking for 2 female members to go jam with. So it's good to see him back. He had a kid, and
Yeah.
he was doing acting, like David Yao's doing acting as well. So now I guess he's getting back feeling the music again, which is great. I know he sat in for somebody. I can't remember who it was, and that ever since then, he's just kind of been snowballing it.
So let me ask you, how did you end up playing with the Melvins? Because that was like 20 years after the Buttholes ended, and I know you did a lot of stuff in between. I'm just always curious, like how people meet people and, how those introductions happen.
I'll tell you what it was that Honky, my band that I did after Daddy Longhead,
Yeah.
kind of like I wanted to strip everything down and get away from effects for a minute. And so we just did some butt rock boogie, dirty songs, just to have fun. And I really liked hanging out with those guys and that crowd. We just always had a good time. A lot more fun than, say, hanging out with the Butthole Surfers crowd, which I say this all the time. Just I don't want to talk about Butthole Surfers when I'm talking to people, and so when I'm around a Butthole Surfers crowd, that's all they want to talk
Right.
about, or maybe
Right.
Ween. But with Honky, it's just like, hey, let me buy you a shot. What are you doing tomorrow? You want to go fishing? That kind of shit. So I enjoyed that lifestyle a lot more, and those people that I was hanging out with, because I related to them a little bit more. Oops, I
Right.
didn't want to talk about Butthole Surfers all the time. Well, anyways, I was on tour with Honky, and we were touring with the band Altamont, which is Dale's rock band
Yep.
that he had Joey from Acid King playing drums and Dan Southwick on bass, and we did tours together. I guess that was like the late '90s,
Hmm.
and so me and Dale were tight. And I didn't really get to meet Buzz until a little bit later, and he had, I guess, in his head, he was thinking about Dale playing drums for Honky and me playing bass for them. And so when Honky was opening up for Down, he drove all the way down. I don't know, it was like San Luis Obispo or something. I don't know what it was, but so he didn't want to go to the show in LA because he didn't want to see people he knew. So he came down and he watched us play. And then after the show, he was like, he's mentioned something about like Van Halen meets, something else. Or that's when he called me up and he was like, "Hey man, how do you?" This is when Jared was having a baby, and they had two drummers. And he goes, "How do you feel about playing bass for the Melvins?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, I'm down." And he
Sure.
goes, "Well, would Honky be able to open?" I said, "Of course." And he goes, "Can Dale play drums for Honky?" I said, "Of course." And so that's how it first started. And Buzz likes to keep everything together. He likes like Bobby ended up being the guitar tech. That's our guitar player from Honky
Uh
at
huh.
that
Uh
time.
huh.
And so Bobby would be the Melvin's guitar tech, and he would also play guitar with Buzz's guitars and his amp for a Honky set, and Dale would sit in with us. And we just kind of had that thing going. And then I did a three-piece version with them without Honky.
Uh huh.
And then I did double bass version with them with single drums, and now they're back to the double drum thing.
Yep.
And I think this one's going to be that I'm doing with them because it's been a wonderful relationship. I love all those guys, and they put up with me. I'm a little bit more of a wild card, and those guys are pretty. They're pretty subdued in a lot of ways. I love touring with them. No one ever raises their voice. You don't stay anywhere near the venue. You're not like, there's not people getting wasted downtown and trying to
Right.
find them the next morning. We have a thing called AIS, it's ass in seat. Just whatever you do, you don't have to come back to the hotel that's 40 minutes away with us. But if you're not going to be there, be in that seat at 6:30 a.m. So AIS time is all they cared about. Do your job, all that.
So what you're really conveying is that they are very serious about what they do professionally as a band.
Oh, totally, totally.
You would have to be considering they've been doing this now for over 40 years.
Yeah, they're a machine. They're about the same as my time in the Butthole Surfers. So yeah, so I think 84.
I think they
They were
started 80.
84.
Yeah.
So they're
So
like 41 now.
I would love to have, Buzz and or Dale on this
I'm
podcast here,
sure that'll
but
be possible.
it's probably possible. I don't know if they're actually fans of me or not, but whatever.
That I don't know.
And I don't either. But okay. So I've always been fascinated by the Melvins just because they are so incredibly prolific. They
I was going to
release
use
so
the
much
same
stuff.
word, prolific.
But there've been all of these different versions, all these different versions with different bass players at different times, and sometimes I don't know if it's just an organic thing or if they're very deliberate and specific, or how sometimes they have a drummer and then now we're going to do it with two drummers for a while and then we're going to go back to this, and now we're going to do a version with the double bass. And like, it's always been fascinating to me that they're always the Melvins and yet there's all these different kind of permutations. And I'm just
Yeah.
kind of curious what your perspective is like about that. And now they have Steve McDonald, who I think's been with them longer than anybody.
Yeah, he's played more shows than anybody. In fact, I'm the reason why we did double bass because I was like, y'all had double drums, double guitar, because they'd had double guitar for a second.
Yeah,
And I was like, it's about time for double bass, huh? I'll play rhythm.
sure.
And I put that seed in his head a long time ago, and then finally it actually happened.
So what's your perspective on like just these ideas? Are they just always looking to kind of push and try different stuff?
He asked me to come out and do an album that he had the name that he wanted to do, Pinkus Abortion Technician. That's his idea. Thought it was the funniest thing in the fucking world,
Uh-huh.
and wanted to do it. And it was going to be, and he was working on their Love and Death album at the same time. So it was really hard. I was like, okay, so you want me to come out and I didn't know he just wanted to do like 4 songs, like basically he wanted to do some cover songs, like a Joe Walsh and a Butthole Surfers song, and I can't remember what else. But anyways, I had tons of songs. So I came in and he's like, yeah, stay as long as you want. Just put down whatever you want. And so I ended up doing this whole album. And that's one that's got that Don't Forget to Breathe song on it. And while they were doing the other album at the same time, and Steven's trying to also, he's doing the off record, which he was on the Melvins tour. So he's like
Right.
behind on all the off songs. He's like, he had 10 off songs to learn. Now he's trying to learn my songs. And, also, doing the love and death stuff.
And also Red Cross.
And also, yeah, Red Cross at the time, I think that was right before they got on their newest album.
What a slacker.
Yeah, I know exactly. And so we were all in there, and I just kept shoveling songs out and shoveling songs out. And at the end of it, it was a whole album, and then it was just going to come out on AMREP, and then Ipecac said that they wanted to put it out, so it went out on both. And then this has always stuck with me is that at the end of it, and it's not anybody's favorite Melvins record by any means, but it is a Melvins record. And he goes, "Wow, this is the first Melvins album I didn't write a song on." And I
Oh,
didn't even
really?
think about that. And so,
Interesting.
yeah. So
Interesting.
me and Dale and Steven wrote one song. Dale wrote 2 songs. There was some covers, and I wrote the rest. And I asked Buzz to do vocals on one song. He was finally you ask. And I was like, I didn't know you wanted to. He was so busy with his other album and all that other stuff. There are people coming in and out.
So you left the Melvins. When was the last record you did? Wasn't that long ago?
I played with them after the double bass thing. We did 3 shows opening up for Rankin Tours.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the last 3 shows I played with them. I'm really bad at dates. But yeah, I always consider myself just in the stable, and that's why I just got this call just to do this recording with. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about it, but with Buzz will be involved.
We'll just say there is a project that you're going to be involved with that also involves Dale and Buzz in some capacity and other members, and it may or may not be called the Melvins, and we don't know.
I did not say that, but I will say Buzz is involved.
Okay.
But I don't know what it's going to be called. Usually, projects like this get a different name. But I'm so stoked to go out and just.
You just know that it's a project, and it's going to end up being what it's going to be, and you get to be part of it, which is cool.
Yeah, cool. They did Crystal Fairy, and they did some other stuff. That was that they do with a mixture of people that they like to play with.
Early on at the beginning, you were just kind of saying how you like doing the solo thing because, well, you don't have to rely on anybody.
Sure.
Overall, generally speaking, do you see yourself mostly doing solo music as opposed to being in a band proper?
No, I like having the option, and now I've worked it up. Now I've worked it up enough to where people will take me serious as being a solo player. In fact, I just got offered. I guess I can say this because this won't be out for a while. But I opened for Clutch, Helmet, and Quicksand as my solo banjo thing on a tour.
That's so cool.
It was like a '90s, rock thing, I guess. And so I just got asked back again to do the Clutch COC tour to open up with just me with my banjo. I actually wanted to have the guys. I'm playing with a cocktail kit player, Richard Kirby, up in Bristol, Tennessee, and my neighbor up the hill who plays piano. And we call it the triptych. So it's me on banjo, those guys playing harmony vocals, cocktail kit, really compact little unit. And I was trying to see if I could get the triptych on this bill, but they said they just wanted me solo on it. Right. So, like I said, it's nice to have the option. I do enjoy playing with people.
Is that like more traditional banjo as opposed to?
No, not at all. No.
It's out there trippy as well?
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
It is. I got to tell you, my piano player, Billy, is Sheeran up the hill. He grew up skateboarding with all these guys, but they're all, and Richard Kirby was a Santa Cruz skateboarder, a vert guy, and he used to watch him skate, and they're all, it's like this little community. But my buddy Billy up the hill, he like doesn't have any tattoos, loves his parents, didn't listen to Black Flag. He's like this, he just didn't get any of that shit. He loved the skateboarding part. He loved hanging out with everybody, but he didn't come in, he doesn't know any of these bands or any of this stuff. And Kirby he lived out and, he knew all the desert guys. He was out there doing with Mario and all those guys doing music and hanging out. So we got this cool, like, well-versed traditional piano player, and he doesn't use any effects on his shit. It's like he's pretty traditional about what he does, and so I've got some effects and stuff, but he gets twisted in his own way. I used to not like piano because you couldn't bend the notes, but now I'm really appreciating the banjo and piano together is
Yeah.
really cool because they're both percussive. They both can't, the sustain isn't like a guitar.
Right.
So we're pumping through most of the stuff, and we got to work. We got to work when we're pumping. We can't just hit a chord and let it ring.
Are you going to record?
Yes, we already did 13 songs.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, we
great.
did. We recorded them live, and I'm mixing those right now. And that's why I was thinking, guys, this clutch thing because it's supposed to happen in April. So
Okay.
I was thinking, oh, that'd be perfect. I could have it out by then, and these guys. But I think they like having a solo guy open up the. They have a
Sure.
fella named Nate Bergman that did it after I did it. He did it a couple of times after I did it. But I just looked like an old. I had my cowboy hat on with a feather and at two screens behind me. It looked like I was a prospector playing banjo with a pinpoint presentation going on behind me. I need a laser or something for. So I don't know what I'm going to do this time,
Okay.
but yeah, I think they like just the simpleness of having one person doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me ask you a closing question, if I may.
Okay.
What is it in your life that just keeps you moving forward, keeps you doing all the things you do? Is it the same thing it's always been, or is that kind of drive changed over the decades?
Yeah, yes and no. I think the same thing. I didn't realize what drove me until I got older, but the same thing drove me. It was just when like when we're younger, more things are a competition. Being in a band's more of a competition. Picking up chicks is a competition. Everything when we're like young and high testosterone, whiskey drinking, whatever going around, and you kind of have that drive in you, but there's all this other stuff that clouds it over. And I think as I've gotten older and happier we live a very primitive life here. I could turn the camera around and show my world here, old beat up schoolhouse and Airstream with our water in it and this old church that's right behind you where I'm looking at right there. And I could not be happier with my life at all. I mean, there's really nothing, there's no money or anything that can make me happier than just being able to do what I do, being married to the wife I have. My son, who's 30 years old, I had him back. That was at the part of my Butthole Surfers experience. But I have all the things that make life grand to me, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Not to mention our little doggies. I love my little doggos. But yeah, just thrilled to be able to have the privilege to play music in front of people, to be able to put on shows at this church, to be able to do all these wonderful things. It makes life wonderful for me.
I love it.
So
love it.
if I die, it's not suicide. That's what all the guys say that are in trouble with the law.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Creative Asylum. A quick favor before you go. If you liked this conversation, please be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday at 10. You can find us on Instagram and on YouTube at Creative Asylum CA. That's Creative Asylum and the letters CA. Our website is thecapod.com. And our Facebook is the same, facebook.com/thecapod. Until next week, when we'll have a new conversation with another creative disruptor, stay creative in life and at work.